Happy Halloween to you, unless you're Joan and you think it's actually satanic. By the way, the Gets Dark time. By the way, the Gets Dark time today, 5:55 this evening. So that is when the sun will be setting. So you got to make sure the kids are all, costumed up and you got your bags and everything and ready to go.
Hey, you know what this weekend is also?
What's that?
We fall back this weekend.
Oh, do we really?
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Oh, no. That's terrible. Yeah. That is terrible for... No, it's not terrible for us.
Terrible. Nope.
We get an extra hour of sleep.
That's correct,
Okay,
Dan.
very good. Shut up, John. See, that's why I say Gets Dark time as opposed to sunrise versus sunset, because I always get confused. Speaking of confused, Aftyn Behn. So Matt Van Epps, right, running for the 7th. It's Matt Van Epps versus Aftyn Behn. Everybody knows. So he drops this commercial. Have you seen this commercial yet, Joan?
No, I haven't, so I can't wait to see it.
So I'm watching it if you're watching on Super Talk TV, you'll see it. But for the radio, it's audio and video of Aftyn Behn when she was now infamously trolling and alerting, the hood about where ICE was. Listen to this.
I'm Matt Van Epps. I approved this message.
Meet woke liberal Aftyn Behn.
This is great. We've got our girl squad and we're bullying the ICE vehicles and state troopers. So this is a win.
Aftyn Behn, so woke she thinks it's a win to harass police.
This is great. We've got our girl squad and we're bullying the ICE vehicles and state troopers. So this is a win.
Woke liberal Aftyn Behn. When she wins, we lose.
Oh, absolutely brutal.
Oh,
do you know what?
Love the tagline.
Oh, yeah. You know what? If I ever actually get the cell phone number of Matt Van Epps, which I traditionally don't have the cell phone numbers of the politicians, but that would be my ringtone, is that commercial. Because, it's funny because we were talking about this yesterday, Joan, the preening of Aftyn Behn when all of this was going on. And, it's horrifying on a number of different fronts because, of course, we all know the threats that are going on right now against ICE officers. And so for her to do this, and I think one of the things that I would say is this really does personify the differences between Matt Van Epps and Aftyn Behn. And actually, he was on with Murphy Show after they aired the commercial during Matt Murphy's show, and this is what he had to say. Because some people are actually saying, and I don't understand this, but some people are saying that this is like a bullying ad or like a go negative ad. You're actually using her words.
Yeah, we've gotten some feedback that this was an attack ad, but I really don't think it's an attack ad. I think it's just shining the light on my opponent to draw the very clear distinction between someone who bullies police officers, brags about it on TikTok, and going against ICE, against federal agents doing their job, doing their mission, going against the Tennessee Highway Patrol. And I think that's it's disqualifying.
Yeah. See, here's the crazy thing, though, Joan and Sam, is that I believe that it should be disqualifying. But here's the thing. The left will embrace it.
Oh, yeah.
The left will embrace it as abhorrent. But see, this is the differences between the two parties now, is that the left, I could see Aftyn Behn using that same video and that same audio for one of her commercials.
Mm-hmm.
Put some upbeat music behind it. Look what we're out here fighting fascism.
That's exactly right. We're
Slay Queen.
We're fighting fascism. That's what she would say. And yeah, we did. We joked about this ad yesterday where she preening for the camera, proud of what she is doing. And so Matt Van Epps, of course, again, calling into the Murphy Show, he talks about where he stands and the difference between he and Aftyn Behn.
And when you compare that to where we stand, where I stand, and that's to back the blue. I have friends who are police officers. I have friends who are both current and former Tennessee Highway Patrol, and they are true public servants who are out there defending our way of life, defending our families, protecting us. And we will always stand with law enforcement, with military, with veterans, with businesses, with farmers, and we think the distinction here is very clear.
Oh, absolutely. Remember, we talked about this yesterday, what happened in Chicago. ICE is under attack. Fireworks are being fired their way. You've got the bullying, the pushing, the shoving, the yelling, the threatening, the doxing, the rock throwing, the vandalizing of the ICE van where you had the, what do they call it, the Latin Kings? I think that's what they're called. The Latin Kings spray painting their logo on the ICE van, the cutting of the tires, the slashing of the tires. I mean, the threats against ICE and law enforcement, we talked about this yesterday, the threats against ICE and law enforcement, generally speaking, up 1,000%. Up 1,000%. And you know what my question would be? I wonder how Fort Campbell folks, because, you know, they're in the 7th, I wonder how they would like the bullying of ICE agents, the bullying of law enforcement, which is what Aftyn Behn is so incredibly proud of. And so one of the things that I said yesterday is that there's some concerns about turnout for the 7th Congressional District for the general election. There are a lot of people running in that race. Candidate Van Epps told Murphy Show yesterday that most, if not all of his opponents, and this is what I love about conservatives, generally speaking, is that a lot of his opponents either were there in person or their teams showed up to a gathering, to literally, they actually called it a bury the hatchet kind of meeting.
Well, we got together for a happy hour, had a beer, and we called it the bury the hatchet meeting.
Yep.
We also bought a hatchet that everyone signed. And we thought we were going to be there for an hour. We were there for 3 hours. And it shows truly everyone coming together in the Republican Party, united behind us, because this is not about me. This is about our team. This is about fighting for the president. This is about fighting for what makes the Tennessee 7th Congressional District so great in our state and our country, and that's the mission we're on now.
Yeah, I think that says a lot about, you know, Jody Barrett, Lee Reeves, all the people that were running against Matt Van Epps, that everybody shows up for this bury the hatchet happy hour. And I think that also says a lot about Matt Van Epps, where, and this is the sign of a really good leader, right? Where I won and he won by a lot. And he invites everybody else to come in for a bury the hatchet happy hour. And then, like, again, all good leaders do, bury the hatchet, and let's all now work together to defeat our common enemy, which is Aftyn Behn and the Democrats. I love what he did. I think we all probably had some fun at the thought of Aftyn Behn and the Brain Trust, of Aftyn
Brainless.
I was going to say it. I let you have the line, though, because I knew you were going to do it too, Sam. Aftyn Behn and Jasmine Crockett doing a so-called town hall together, which isn't a town hall. It's actually it's a fundraiser, and it seems to be like they're not going to be taking questions like a town hall would typically be. So they're calling a fundraiser, at least it seems to me, a town hall, but whatever. But Van Epps talks about that, how that really personifies and punctuates the differences between Aftyn Behn and his campaign.
You know, Crockett said that entering the country isn't a crime. She's made fun of Republicans who say fentanyl and the border are big issues. And it just is another example of the contrast here could not be more clear on what we stand for, what we'll fight for to protect our communities, small businesses, to decrease the cost of living, bring down inflation, support our businesses and farmers. And that's what we're going to be fighting for.
And you know what? Clearly worth fighting for. And this is just one of many headlines out there that I'm going to share with you. Can Democrats flip Tennessee's 7th Congressional District? It's from the Tennessee Lookout. What temperature will it be at the Gets Dark time of 5:55?
Dan, you mean at the time that the sun goes down, Dan?
Yeah, the Gets Dark time.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
So do you use the Weather Channel?
No.
They have the hourly.
No, you know what I use for my weather, Joan?
What do you use, Dan?
Joan Jones.
Oh, you use I see.
So find out what will the temperature be at 6 o'clock tonight?
56.
56? 56?
Yeah.
Okay. Very
Light
good.
winds, 4 miles an hour. It'll be perfect.
It's going to be a great. It's going to be a great night for trick-or-treating.
One of our text listeners said that Stefano used the Spooktacular at 5:32 this morning.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Stefano.
Yeah, he loves it.
Is he giving me credit for giving him the idea? Because that happened yesterday during this radio broadcast. That's why, as I continuously update my resume, because I'm going to get fired any day, probably for bits like this. I said I'm going to add television copywriter to my resume.
That's right.
What I'm going to do.
Stefano uses your phraseology.
Which nobody has ever said ever that they want to use my phraseology as I talk about the Gets Dark time of 5:55 tonight. It is 6:18, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I think the Democrats, that they do see blood in the water regarding Tennessee's 7th congressional district. And there's all kinds of headlines out there. I think they're going to be putting some good money behind Aftyn Behn. And I'm going to tell you something. They're going to need some good money to try to defeat Matt Van Epps, because I think that he is a formidable candidate, and he is very good. And remember, he won overwhelmingly the primary, as I've mentioned many times now, so I don't need to get into the specifics anymore. That he won 51% of the vote. All the other candidates combined did not hit what he got. So I think that Aftyn Behn, who barely squeaked in, even the Tennessee Lookout is admitting that she barely won the primary for the Democrats. Coming up, by the way, at 6:35, it's going to be a last-minute scheduled hit, but Matthew Hurtt is going to join us because there's a really interesting story out there today. We touched on it in the 5 o'clock hour, where Jake Tapper is now out there, and this is freaking out both sides. And can I just say, I don't exactly know why, but both sides are talking about how Jake Tapper said that the younger generation, Gen Z, they are coming out, turning out more conservative for a number of different reasons. Do you know who is right on the forefront of that battle for Gen Z politically? Obviously, Charlie Kirk was. Turning Point USA is. Chris Hand is. And also Matthew Hurtt is. So we're going to talk to Matthew Hurtt, and because he is involved in an organization that talks about how to bring about conservative leaders across America. So that is his full-time gig, and so we're going to talk to him about that. I really did like, though, what J.D. Vance said about having kids when he was speaking to Turning Point USA, that big Turning Point USA event that, we played some audio from that yesterday. It was a great event, and this is, let's see if I can manage to do this without completely obliterating the entire radio station. All right, this is J.D. Vance and what he said about having kids during and we got video for this, during his event the other day.
Have children. That's something Charlie also always told. I grew up in a generation. I'm 41 years old. I'm a millennial. And if you're being uncharitable, you would call me a geriatric millennial, which I really hate. I really hate being called a geriatric millennial. But here I am at 41 talking to all of you like I've got great wisdom. Here's the thing. The one regret, the only regret that I really have in my entire life, and I've made plenty of mistakes, but the one regret that I have is that, frankly, I wish we had started having kids sooner. Because when you're a young father, you realize what an incredible blessing they are, but they're also very exhausting. And I know here at Ole Miss, we like to party a lot. And I know at Ole Miss, occasionally some of you will have a few drinks on a Friday or Saturday, or hopefully not a Tuesday night, but I'm sure that happens from time to time here in SEC country.
Yep.
But here's the thing. When you go out until 3 in the morning and wake up at 6 a.m. for class, the thing that I've learned in my old age is that incredible energy, God actually meant it for another purpose, and that purpose was to help take care of a family. So while you're young, have those babies if you're able to. That's something Charlie said all the time.
Yep, J.D. Vance. What a great speech that was in front of Turning Point USA. And we played some of that audio. The audio is everywhere. But it is true. And we touched upon this in the 5 o'clock hour, where you did have the Donald Trump, 2024, was able to convert a lot of those younger voters, far more than he was able to do in 2020 and 2016. So Matthew Hurtt is going to join us. But, when you think about everything that the younger generation has gone through, this younger slate of voters, this younger block of voters, specifically 18 to 25 years old, which is where they are now, they were sold a bill of goods when it came to a college education and its value. They've seen the impact of rampant illegal immigration in our country and that impact on their job market as they get out of college. They had to grapple with Biden's economy, which obviously was awful. And they've seen all the crime going on in these major blue cities where a lot of them actually went to college. So I think that they've seen not only the authenticity of the Democrat Party, where, awful things happen when Democrats are in power. That's number one. So the struggle is real when it comes to Democrat rule. That's number one. And number two, they also saw the authenticity of Donald Trump. And that's also a big part of where the younger generation is going, is they like people to be authentic because that's what they see on social media. Think about this. So one of the things that they'll tell you is that, and I talked about this, where you've got the younger generation now, 18 to 25, their entire lives, basically, they've been immersed in the socials. And so they're living through these videos and they're watching all of these videos and they're watching all of these, all of these influencers. And authenticity is key. And so they're not beholden to the mainstream media like previous generations have. The mainstream media that traditionally has that control by the Democrats. The Democrats have always controlled the mainstream media. The 18 to 25-year-olds, they're not really into the mainstream media, right? Could you, 18 to 25, could you, if you went to talk to Joan, you think, or Sam, the average 18-year-old, do you think the average 18-year-old, if I said, hey, what channel locally is, NBC or CBS or Fox?
None.
They would have absolutely no clue.
I'm not even sure they would know what NBC is. Seriously.
What's NBC? Do they have...
Is that a nacho burrito combo, bro?
6:37, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I've never heard this song before in my life.
It's so funny. Sam said, should I play the Halloween bumper coming back? And I said, as long as it gets to the point right away. And neither one of us have heard that Michael Jackson song. By the way, apparently Joan at 1323 says, Dan, please quit sounding so whiny and childish today.
Oh, that's rude.
I thought that was part of my brand, whiny and childish. That like they had that on a promo at one point. So anyway, hey, Matthew Hurtt is joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline. Matthew, always great to have you on. And listen, no whiny and childish behavior out of you this Halloween, sir.
Well, what's up, you big baby, Dan? It's great to be with you. That was for Joan Jones.
Maybe we should just get him a pacifier, a diaper. That's how we can go,
I've got some at home. Hey, so Matthew, let me ask you this just real quickly. So are you a full-size candy giver or a miniature? And what's your favorite Halloween candy? Have we asked this yet?
You have not asked me this. I live in a high-rise apartment, and of course, no friendly people live in high-rise apartments. I plan to be asleep by 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. It's an election weekend, but I do love Reese's Cups. So if I'm stealing candy out of bags tonight on the way home from work, I'll be pulling Reese's Cups out.
Good man.
All right, very good. Now I want to play for you and everyone listening. What Jake Tapper says that has both sides really excited. Listen to this.
I think Gen Z is going to be a lot more conservative. I think that just from my experience knowing Gen Z kids, my kids and their friends and whatever, I sense much more skepticism and I think it is a reaction to Gen Xers and millennials forcing on them progressive views in school. And I think that there are going to be some conservatives. This is my general impression.
Yeah,
I don't fight.
That was an early read. That was an early read of Gen Z, and then a kind of a beta. But it may be what ends up happening.
But
right?
I mean, Trump did not win young voters as he constantly says he did. But he did do better with them.
That's right.
Than other previous Republicans. And I just think that it's not just that he is reshaping and remaking politics and normalizing things that weren't normal 10 years ago. I also think it is a reaction to the failures of progressive movements to achieve what they wanted to achieve, whether it's Bernie Sanders, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's Me Too. I think it's COVID. I think it's a lot of progressive politics being forced down their throats in school. I think there's a lot of stuff going on.
All right, so that is Jake Tapper, and took a long way to get to the point. But what do you think? I mean, Matthew Hurtt, you this is your lane. Your day job is trying to train future conservative leaders.
Well, yeah, Dan. So what Jake Tapper provided was an anecdote. He says, my kids are conservative, and I caution listeners, anecdotes are not data, but we do have data on it. The Center for Information and Research on Civic Learning and Engagement at Tufts had a poll out that said young voters were 9 percentage points more Republican in 2024 than they were in 2020. And though Joe Biden won young voters by 25 points, there's only a 4-point margin between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And when you look into the crosstabs, and this is an important layer of the conversation, between 2020 and 2024, young white men, became 11 points more Republican. Black men became 20 points more Republican. They swung from 11 percentage points to 31 percentage points, self-identifying as Republican. And there was a little bit of movement among women. I do think the 18 to 24 range, if a lot of them are Republican or conservative, then it's a lot of young men who have, by and large, have been told every day since they were born to sit down, to shut up, that they've had their day in American history, and that it was somebody else's time to rise. This is what equity has done to a generation of young men. They don't believe that they can find a job that will allow them to buy a house. They don't believe that they can find a wife to marry and have children. And in a poll that was a poll from last year, identifying what were the most important traits for an individual, young men answered in the top 3 or 4, getting married, having a family, providing for that family, buying a house. It was at the very bottom of the answers for women. So I do think there's going to be a split. More young men will be conservative. More young women, for a little bit, will be progressive or liberal, and that's going to have to reconcile for that generation to produce the next generation.
And just so folks know, in case you don't, 1997 to 2012 is the years that Gen Z were born, and so one of the other things that I think perhaps is worthy of a discussion is this is the first generation to be completely and totally immersed in the digital age. They call them digital natives. And so my thought is that this is the first generation that has never really been beholden to, or their only information source was the mainstream media. And I think that's also part of this because, previous generations were sold the mainstream media, which is traditionally, of course, basically manipulated or owned by the Democrats.
Well, yeah, this is an excellent point, Dan, and I kind of straddled this. I had to log on to the internet with AOL, and the people who came after me, these 18 to 25-year-olds, have always had access to what I call information anarchy. They decide what they want to see, and then the algorithm provides them more of what they want to see, rather than watching, the national news. You get 3 or 4 or 5 in the 90s, 6, 7, 8 options There are an unlimited number of options, and they're intertwining news and information and culture. And when that culture resonates, the other information that could be political or could be it is political in nature seeps into their thought process. So it's a very different news consumption. Even, we're even talking about this at work at Leadership Institute. How do we identify prospective interns for the spring or the summer or the fall next year? And we are having to identify new ways to connect with 18 to 21-year-olds because they're just not consuming or finding information the way the previous generations have.
Matthew, let me ask you this. When we talk about the things that young adults are dealing with these days, I think that, and I jotted down a few of them. You had some good ones, very good ones as well, of course. But they were sold a bill of goods when it comes to a college education and its value. They've seen firsthand the impact of illegal immigration in our country while they were being lied to by the Biden administration. They had to deal with Biden's economy, of course, which was awful. And they've all seen the crime going on in these cities as well. And so as the Democrats will tell you everything's fine, the border is secure, and the rest of that nonsense, and this college diploma will do wonders for you in the job market. I think that they've realized that they've been lied to.
Well, and not only that, it goes even further. I speak to a high school Turning Point group once a month in Arlington, Deep Blue Arlington, and it is a mostly young women group. It's about 16 young people. They're mostly women. And the first time I spoke to them earlier in the fall, all the women said, all the young girls said, we're concerned about men in our bathrooms. The young men have expressed a sense of desolation or despair on what they're going to do after high school. My parents want me to go to college. I don't think that's the pathway for me. There's so many of these things. And then if you zoom out just a few years, and a lot of your listeners may not even realize how bad it was or remember how bad it was, but the COVID lockdowns cut off social development for people who are still graduating college. There was a period of time, if they were in middle school to early college in 2020, 2021, and even 2022, there was an isolation that was forced on them that was anti-science, and now they're generally skeptical of experts. And I think that's a healthy skepticism, but it not only did it cause skepticism, but it caused a social stunting of their personalities and of their development.
Yeah, they didn't get to do prom, and they again, as you say, they were locked down and things were canceled. After school activities were canceled. I mean, we all, I mean, I'm obviously well out of high school, but I mean, that is something that they really did have to deal with. I want to play for you, and you folks on Super Talk TV can see this, but Matthew, I don't know if you've seen this yet. We've got a congressional race going on here in Middle Tennessee in the 7th Congressional District, Aftyn Behn versus Matt Van Epps. He has launched what I believe now is the first commercial to promote, of course, his campaign. And as you define your opponent, which is what you're supposed to do in politics, this is his commercial regarding Aftyn Behn.
I'm Matt Van Epps. I approved this message.
Meet woke liberal Aftyn Behn.
This is great. We've got our girl squad, and we're bullying the ICE vehicles and state troopers. So this is a win.
Aftyn Behn, so woke she thinks it's a win to harass police.
This is great. We've got our girl squad, and we're bullying the ICE vehicles and state troopers. So this is a win.
Woke liberal Aftyn Behn. When she wins, we lose.
Now, it's so funny. We were talking earlier about this ad, Matthew, and I said, you know what? This is a great commercial for conservatives. You know what the stunning thing is? I could see Aftyn Behn using this same video, this same audio to promote her campaign because the left loves that she was out there harassing and trying to dox ICE agents.
Conservatives oppose it, and the left loves it. But where do the people in the middle fall? And I think most reasonable people who don't consider themselves ideologues think that harassing law enforcement is a bad idea. Most people say, and I hear it all the time, if an interaction with law enforcement, if you've done nothing wrong, is okay. And I again, they're challenging these norms of behavior, interacting with people in public, causing disturbances, and most people just think it's not appropriate, or it's a turnoff, or it is a net negative. So if that ad sounds great for a conservative audience and those independents who you have to swing in a lot of districts to get across the finish line.
How worried are you? I don't know how much money they're putting into the 7th on the Democrat side, but, we got Jasmine Crockett, and they're going to do what they're calling a town hall, but it's really not a town hall. You have to, be approved, I guess, to go in. It's behind closed doors. It sounds to me like it's more of a fundraiser. But how much money do you think the Democrats are putting into the 7th? And is there a realistic chance? And I say this with caution because people have to absolutely, if you're in the 7th and you're conservative, you absolutely have to go out and vote no matter what. Do not get complacent. But how much money do you think the left is putting into the 7th? And do you think there is a realistic chance that this could possibly flip?
It's hard to tell how much money they're going to put in. This is what Cook Political calls an R+10 district. We're in the safe zone. These go from D+26 or 36 to R+36. This is not a swing district. However, in a special election setting, the left could theoretically swamp or bring out enough voters to change the outcome. What Democrats have to look at is what is the generic ballot in the midterm in 2026? Can they afford to spend $6, $8, $10 million in this race at the expense of close races in R+1 or R+4 districts in 2026? I don't think they're going to make that gamble on an R+10. If this was an R+5 district or an R+3 district, it would make a lot more sense for them to spend money, because then if the Democrat won, the narrative going into the midterms would be that Donald Trump's agenda is not popular, and they would carry that all the way through 2026.
Donald Trump is out there talking about how the Republicans need to end the filibuster. Is that a good idea or not?
I don't know if that's a good idea. The filibuster is great when you're trying to stop easy things that would be awful. I haven't thought much about it this morning, and so I don't have a clear opinion.
I think it's an awful idea, and I'm going to tell you why, and you just hit on it. Because there's going to come a time where we don't control the Senate. There's going to come a time when we don't control the White House and we don't control the House of Representatives. So you don't throw down that nuclear option because you are just opening the door. Now, here's the question, is that the Democrats might do it anyway when they have the opportunity, regardless of what we do.
Well, that's a great point, Dan, and your argument is excellent in the sense that the Senate was never set up as a direct democracy entity anyway. If we have direct democracy, that is mob rule, and we have found, again, I mentioned norms of behavior earlier, things that people do in polite company. Republicans tend to follow the rules in social settings, but also in legislative bodies, and Democrats are much more willing to upend or end those rules when they get power. And so this is something where this mechanism, the filibuster, works the way it is supposed to work. Republicans respect that, and Democrats don't, and we could see a situation where they eliminate it.
Turn on the mic, Mandis. All right, thank you very much, Matthew Hurtt, joining us on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Maybe you need a candy infusion now. Like that might help.
Do you know it might make him crash, though. Too much sugar on the front end.
Listen, I'll take a Reese's peanut butter cup if anybody's got one. You got
goat of candies.
Huh? You don't have candy?
I said the goat of candies.
The goat, yes. Well, you heard Matthew Hurtt. Although he called them Reese's cups.
I mean, yeah, that's the formal name. If you're going to steal,
formal name. The formal name is Reese's peanut butter cups.
Sure.
That's the formal name. He called them Reese's cups.
I agree. If you're stealing candy from kids, it should be that.
Whatever. The problem with where he lives in a high-rise is there's no kids to steal candy from. That's the problem.
Well,
you could always go out into the burbs.
Absolutely.
Matthew, if you're still listening, if you're going to go steal candy go to one of the Democrat neighborhoods around you because that's really all
He's
that
in
you're
DC,
surrounded
right?
by. Yeah, he's in.
So
he's
he needs to go to Arlington.
He is in Arlington.
Okay,
he's in
well,
Arlington.
He's in the perfect place.
Yeah, so just go out, club a kid over the head.
Well, they have a mask on. The kids usually have a mask, so they won't see your foot when it comes out to kick the feet out from under
Okay,
them.
just so we're clear, neither one of us is actually advocating clubbing children over the head for candy.